Hello, and welcome to Coffee and Contemplation, and thank you for joining me for today's review. But first, let's have some coffee, even though it's 9:24 p.m. Ill-advised. That being said, basically took a nap today, and so getting a productive work session and beginning with this review, I can't complain about even now. In certain circumstances, I think consuming caffeine at night can be appropriate, although, in general, I would advise against it. Okay, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be going over my metagame Glaurung practice overview, and then after that, we're going to be going through my Fortnite movement practice unarmed formal exercises one step at a time. I can explain it in the Fortnite practice key. And then after that, we're actually going to watch the control attack up and forward ramp variation, as well as the control attack up and forward cone variation. We're going to watch how I practice that and what I mean by these abstract concepts that have just been generated through constant practice with no preconceived notions. And then, to top it all off, we're going to talk about the sunlight benefits, the benefits of viewing sunlight with reference to Huberman Lab. And Andrew Huberman is a professor of ophthalmology and some neuroscience thing at Stanford. And so I've actually learned a lot in terms of how to structure my practice in an efficient manner from the information he's had to share. And so I'm just going to go over like something that I do every day in a ritualistic fashion and how it relates to actual ancestral rituals and how that ties into your biology and how you can leverage all of that information and this protocol to set up your day of gaming if you so choose. And anyways, so let's begin. And so initially we're just gonna look at my Glaurung practice overview, and I have it going on double speed. Right now I'm just labeling Glaurung practice. Bit by bit I'll explain what I'm doing. So I'm labeling my practice as an entity, and then I'll be breaking down how it branches into complexity, I guess is one way to put it. And the first thing I'm going to be drawing, so my practice, regardless of what session it is broken into 3 subsessions. One is metagame practice, which is like universal patterns that you can train that, in theory, can help to prepare you in a transjective way regardless of what game you play. And so then I have a multi-game session, which is what I'm drawing right here. This kanji symbol is mu, mu, and stands for that which cannot be categorized, is one way you can look at it. And so anyways, I'm labeling one of my subcategories of practice as this right here. And then I'm going over another subcategory of my practice, which would be the Fortnite movement key. So I drew one key, I copied, and I'm replicating it 3 times because I have 3 different sessions of practice that I repeat for my Fortnite movement practice. If this is complex right now, hopefully as I add to the picture and can explain, it'll make more sense. And then as my third subcomponent of a session, I have the metagame subsession, which I was describing earlier. So then, for my Fortnite subsessions, I have unarmed formal exercises, which basically is just practicing fighting with building and movement, rather than fighting with weaponry. And then that's the first key. And then the second key would be armed formal exercises. It's the same syntax and structure of the first key, but now we're introducing the rhythm and timing of weaponry, different weaponry, depending upon what I feel like. And then the third key is my different types of walking. And so my entire Fortnite practice, as well as in the future as I structure my real-life approach to training, is going to be in a cyclical manner of these 3 concepts and keys. Because I think these are some essential keys to strategy. You need to be able to get from point A to point B. You need to be able to destroy the enemy in a controlled manner. You need to be able to deal with the enemy comfortably, disengage, learn to get a strong advantage. And so each of these keys bring their own advantages to it. And so now what I'm doing, now that I have the sub-sessions defined, I'm breaking my Glaurung practice into 6 different sessions. And you can see how I color-coded the keys. Now I'm color-coding the sessions with the respective key usage. And so now I'm connecting the 6 sessions to the overall Glaurung practice structure. Session 1 I label, Session 4 I label. The reason I'm labeling it in this timing and order is because Session 1 and Session 4 are integrally connected with the unarmed formal exercises key. The difference being, on Session 1 I do it front to back, and Session 4 I do it back to front. And you can see that in the way that I lay out the key on that corresponding day. Session 5, or sorry, see, even there I made a mistake. I wrote Session 5 on the first one, which is Session 2 and Session 5, because, again, they're interchangeably using the key, the armed formal exercises. So now I copy and paste a smaller version of the key for aesthetic purposes to show how each of the subsections are actually tethered to the sessions themselves. So, Glaurung practice is broken into Session 1, Session 2, Session 3, Session 4, Session 5, and Session 6. And then each of those sessions is broken down into 3 subsessions. The metagame subsession, the movement practice subsession, as well as the multi-game subsession, represented by Mu. And anyways, that's the complexity right there. And then so I just tether it all together, and you can see how Glaurung practice is broken into 6, which is broken into 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So in reality, Glaurung practice is broken into 18 subcomponents. And so it's a repeating 18 subcomponents. And each of those subcomponents have subcomponents to them. Like the metagame, I can differentiate into 9 different pieces. The unarmed formal exercises I can differentiate into 13. Same with the armed. And then different types of walking, I believe, is 18. So 13 times 2 plus 18, 26 plus 18. I can do this. It's hard to do math live. 30. I actually have access to a calculator, so then I don't have to do it. Anyways, before we move on to that, the actual calculation itself may be less meaningful than just making sure that the overall structure is explained well. So yeah, Glaurung practice broken into its subcomponents of 6 sessions, 3 subsessions each. And then each of those subsessions can be differentiated, and we'll be going through that differentiation process here soon. But yeah, so that ends Glaurung practice overview. Hopefully that makes sense. This structure, I mean, you could say it was an emergent phenomenon, but it was based upon a lot of research and exploration. But and I'm still adding to it, of course, but this is the current structure. And then the next thing we'll be going over is Session 1, Unarmed Formal Exercises, Fortnite Practice Key. And so, since we have the entire practice here broken down into its sessions and then subsessions, what we're going to be going over is this little bit right here. Session 1, Fortnite Movement Practice, Unarmed Formal Exercises, Key, Front to Back, Regular. That's what we'll be going into next. And so, it just so happens this is the next part of my practice, illustrating what we're going to be going over. I add a background, and now I label the practice, and I'll just be writing in order the sequence at the level of abstract concept, the sequence that I need to order these concepts to complete the practice. So Session 1, Unarmed Formal Exercises. Front to back, regular. And the regular / goofy should make sense if you watched one of the earlier Coffee and Contemplations where I described edits and how I approach editing. But again, we can go over that at a later date. So now, I start my unarmed formal exercises, front to back regular, with control attacks. The first one being up and forward ramp, which I'll explain in more detail, and we'll actually watch the video for that. And then there's only 2 different ways to go up and forward with a control attack, and that would be going up and forward with a ramp or up and forward with a cone. So I'll be writing up and forward with a cone here. But then there's 4 different ways you can go forward. And so Then you can go cone in your box, cone in the box in front of you. Then you could go cone in your box, ramp in the box in front of you. Then you could go ramp in your box, ramp in the box in front of you. And then ramp in your box, cone in the box in front of you. And that would be all of the different possibilities of moving forward with the piece in your box and a piece in front. So anyways, that's the abstract layout of my control attacks. And so I just go from top down, and my practice is structured as such. So part 1 would be control attacks up and forward ramp. Part 2 would be control attacks forward cone cone. Part 3 would be control attacks forward cone ramp, etc. Moving on. And then past control attacks, I introduce another concept of feather, or light as a feather, where I'm going to be maneuvering on high ground. These concepts I don't know how to play with in the game yet. I have them actively being practiced, and I use them now and again. But a lot of potential here for discovery in how to actually use these strategies. Anyways, so my light as a feather tactic is to maintain high ground, get from point A to point B, just like a feather would be, light and minimal. You don't want to use too many mats. Whereas control attacks, you do what is necessary to control the enemy before you kill him. And then, so the first light as a feather concept is a direct attack. The second light as a feather concept is a flank attack. The third light as a feather concept is a general zone or as attack. I need to learn how to use this. This could be one of my strongest unexplored techniques in terms of implementation. We can review it at another date. My last light as a feather technique is continue on. I also think that this is another one I need to learn how to use a lot better. And then, so that's that concept unpacked. You can see how I have these images here, these symmetries, these tournament structures. I don't exactly know how to, branching hierarchies, describe it. And that is just to provide a symbol for how the structures are unfolding in my mind. So then that's control attacks, that's feather. Then I have basic attacks. So control attacks is in the scenario in which you need to get control of the enemy. In the context of Fortnite, you control the enemy by getting the piece above him, the piece below him, piece to his left, piece to his right, piece behind him. And so control attacks are all the different variations possible of getting those pieces to control my enemy completely before I have to execute my later concept of basic attack. And then there's only 2 ways you can attack the enemy in Fortnite. You can either attack him forward, or you can attack him up and forward. It's with this understanding that I structure my practice. And so you can only control the enemy forward, or you can control the enemy up and forward. Anything else is just added on complexity to this base functionality. So then I delineate basic attacks forward, up and forward, and then my final concept is a Rubik's Cube, and I'll be making it from the bottom up. And what this is I believe it's 13 different concepts, and that will be the completion of my Fortnite practice key. So control attacks is 6 different concepts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feather is 4 different concepts. That puts me at 10. Basic attacks is 2 concepts. That puts me at 12. Rubik's Cube is my 13th concept in the Fortnite practice key for Session 1 Unarmed Formal Exercises, front to back regular. And you can find that I've done this hundreds of times. Well, recorded, I don't know if it goes into hundreds of times, but I have 3.5k videos on my channel as of right now, and you can see that this structure, as long as I've been recording, has been intact for my Session 1 Unarmed Formal Exercises, front to back. The only things that I've added to it is complexity at the level of edit combination and rhythm and timing, making it more fluid and reducing a number of strokes to complete the task. So this is just kind of an overview of what my entire Fortnite movement practice is, and then what we're going to be doing is just looking at 2 out of the 13, and I'll be talking over the 2 out of the 13. And so 13, I wanted to do this earlier, but 13 plus, I'm using right hand only, 13 plus 13 plus 18, what does that equal? 44. And then times 2. 88. So I have 88 unique Fortnite concepts, and we're going to be going over 2 of them today, next. And I repeat these 88 Fortnite concepts every 6 sessions, and it just so happens that my armed formal, unarmed formal retain the same structure and symmetry, and then my different types of walking happens to have, well, it's 19 concepts, but I do 2 concepts in one video. I do my up and forward retake, as well as my down and forward ramp rotate. So, plus 2. It's literally just 90 if I were to add plus 2. So I have 90 concepts. That's kind of cool. So then I add a boundary that actually illustrates similar to what a key looks like. I mean, not perfect, but you can haphazardly imagine how it looks like a key. But then you can understand at the level of structure and planning for a concept or a meditation practice, how it functions as a key. So, yes, session 1, unarmed formal exercises, we went over that, and we explained the Fortnite practice key concept. Next thing I want to do is actually watch my control attacks up and forward ramp. And so what I'm going to be doing in this next illustration is watching how I actually set up every different angle possibility for controlling the enemy, the piece he's standing upon, the piece above him, the floor, the wall it would be behind him, but in front of me technically, the wall to my right in front of me, the wall to my left in front of me, and the floor underneath him. And so I'll be able to show how I control up and forward in all the different directions that I can come up with the ramp in the enemy's box. And then I'll be doing the same thing, same structure. You'll be able to see that it's the same structure, but with a cone in my box and a cone in the enemy's box. So let's begin. So this is a 6-minute, 48-second clip. We're going to breeze through it on double speed. If you want to watch it in more detail and see how I actually minimize my stroke order in an efficient manner to get control of my opponent so that I can later on get a right-hand peek and execute with superior timing. So I start my practice. The more complexity here, I don't even need to go into it right now beyond what is reasonable. I alternate weeks, so there's complexity when I do my Fortnite practice. 1 week, which is session 1 through session 6, I will practice with my reticle on. And then once I've completed that week, then for the next week, it's like another orbit where I do session 1 through session 6 with my reticle off. So this happens to be session 1, reticle off, front to back, regular. It's like there's so many filters of complexity, so I bear with you for being here with me and trying to understand this with me, and hopefully it makes sense. But yeah, so I'll be turning reticle off for this week. The first thing I'm doing is up and forward with a left window, but I'm doing a full protected in the box in front of me. And then I'm just going through a typical attack sequence where I'm retaining right hand peek, and then I break that wall with a ramp and do the edit. So here I actually made a mistake, but yeah, now I'm going up and forward to the left. Same in the box edit, but this time a cone on the outside wall. Now I'm going up and forward, but using the left window and minimal protection to get there. So then I do the edit to hold the right hand peek. I do the edit conversion on the ramp. Now it's a ramp outside my wall. You can see how I'm alternating wood, brick, metal with each piece I move, and I'm moving from left to right. So now I'm going up and forward with the center window edit in the fractal complexity with the cone on the outside of the wall. And again, I'll have all of the references if you want to watch it slowed down. I'm going up and forward with the right window, all the complexity of controlling the piece, maintaining right hand peek, and then a ramp outside of my wall, all the while switching the material. I ended up failing to place my wall there, but I corrected the error quickly, and then I went up and forward to the right with the fractal right hand peek, maintaining complexity with a cone on the outside wall. Then I go up and forward, right window fully protected, and manage the piece in front of me, manage the piece I'm standing on, with putting the auxiliary piece on the outside. This time it's a ramp. Okay, I will slow it down for this concept because I haven't ever introduced my side jump once I went from completely, I started on the left, editing from the left side of my box. Now I'm all the way on the right side. And so what I'm going to do is a right side jump, and then go from right back to left, back to where you started, and finish with a left side jump. So what I'll be going over is my up and forward control attack with a ramp in the enemy box, and I'll be doing it with a jump right side jump control left forward window. So that's jump right side jump control left forward window. Yeah. So I'm finishing off this final concept. You can see I put a cone, and then I put a wall, and then I do an edit to maintain right hand peak. Going through this at slow speed would be useful too, but for me, no. I want to see it at high speeds. I want to be able to process what I'm doing, and then when I'm doing it, I want to take the time to do it right while breathing properly. So here, I reset my box to standard position. I edit out the right wall with a regular edit, and then I mess up my first attempt. So I set up my box again. I edit out. I do 360, up and forward to the right one layer, and then left window control attack. We can look at it one more time, because this movement is incredibly precise, and you have to do a 360 almost instantly. So 360 floor ramp, and I'm on the floor ramp above the box that I was in initially. And then I can ramp, control attack forward. Yep, and then, so that concludes left to right control attack, up and forward with ramp. And so now what I'm going to do is right to left, up and forward control attack with the ramp. Now that I completed the right side jump. Maintaining right hand peak, getting the piece outside my wall. Okay, now we just go back to double speed. And you can see, now I go from right to left, just same pattern. I already went through all of these moves, now I'm just going from one side back to the other. Up and forward to the right. Next one will be up and forward right window. Oh, mechanical error on the front. Yep, but yeah, up and forward right window with a ramp in the enemy box. And then the next one is up and forward center window, coming from right to left. Next is up and forward left window. Next is up and forward to the left. And you can see how I change mat type each box. Final one, up and forward to the left. Up and forward left window. And this is the final one. We're back to the original position. So the next maneuver, we can go on half speed again. You will be able to see that this is a left side jump. Same maneuver. This is my hardest move in the game. It took me hours upon hours upon hours to even be able to hit this. But what it allows for me to do is go up and forward to the left while being fully protected. And so it was worth the freaking effort. So I place... Yeah, you can see, like, it's... Even on half speed, it's almost too fast to understand what's going on. So in that span, I'm placing 3 walls, as well as a floor and a cone above me. And then I'm doing a control attack, but I missed my right wall. A control attack up and forward right window with the ramp in the enemy box. And then this ends the first control attack up and forward ramp concept. At the end of my videos, with extra time, usually I'm listening to music. We'll watch it on normal speed. I like to spend some time just going through cone edits, practicing different areas I can come with, different wall combination edits, stuff like that. I like to do it with a ramp too, just depending. It's, again, like, I'm a toothbrush for a reason. A lot of my practices are just very similar to brushing your teeth, just a foundational skill you do to maintain your health and put yourself into a better position for the future. I think that all of these practices, these building practices by yourself and creative, it's like going to the gym, it's like brushing your teeth. a lot of it just puts you into a good position so that in the future, when you need to be able to defend yourself, you'll have the wherewithal at the level of nature and embodiment. So then, the next concept we'll be going over is the parallel to that concept, but with a cone in the enemy box instead of a ramp in the enemy box. And you're going to see more complexity with the cone than with the ramp, even though there's plenty with the ramp. So I go up and forward left window with a cone, and then I go through all the different attacks. I can attack forward right, I can attack forward left, I can full reset attack forward, I can cone edit to the right and attack, I can cone edit to the left and attack. And then I go up and forward to the left with a cone in the enemy box, control attack. Attack forward right, attack forward left, reset full, attack forward, attack right, reset, attack left, reset. Attack up and forward left window, control attack, attack forward right, attack forward left, reset, attack center, attack right, attack left. Up and forward center window with the cone, attack forward right, attack forward left, reset cone altogether, attack forward, reset, attack forward right, reset, attack forward left. You can see how every different angle I'm practicing the same possibility. Up and forward right window, attack forward right, attack forward left, attack forward center, attack right, attack left, up and forward to the right, attack right, attack left, attack. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not gonna go through saying all of the different maneuvers, but you can see how behaviorally this aspect of my training has fractal aspects to it. We're gonna slow it down here soon for the right side jump, which is right here. Right side jump, same as before with the ramp in the up and forward control attack, but this time we're using the left window with the cone to control the box in front of me. Regular edit in, forward right attack with a circular motion. You'll notice on each of these two I add in a 360, so that one is a counterclockwise 360. It took me a second. So this is clockwise, and then attack forward right, counterclockwise, clockwise, and then clockwise. I didn't do a counterclockwise 360 to finish the wall there, but I'm practicing this to just get used to moving my mouse on my mouse pad in every scenario. And so now I'm going from right to left, just like in the other drill. I went from left to right with a right side jump, now I'm going from right to left, and I'll end with a left side jump. Attacking left. Up and forward to the right, control attack. Attack forward right, attack forward left, reset, attack center, attack right, attack left. Up and forward, right window, control attack, attack forward right, attack forward left, attack center, attack right, attack left. Up and forward center from the right, control attack with cone, attack forward right, attack forward left, attack center, attack right, attack left. Next is up and forward left window, cone, control attack. And one thing too is the cone attack order on session 4, which is the back to front version of these drills. I also go back to front on the cone attack order. So there's just a ton of shuffling complexity, mechanical complexity embedded in this solo meditation and contemplation and embodied practice. Up and forward left window fully protected. Next is left side jump, so I'll get ready for it. Attack left, reset, attack right. Oh, I'm going through cone edits before I do the final maneuver. So I'm ready to do the final maneuver, but I'm just shuffling my cone edits before because probably I was listening to music that I didn't want to end the segment right then, and I was feeling the music. Okay, and then yeah, left side jump. Same as with the up and forward ramp, pain in the ass maneuver. I hit it on my first try. That's good. Then up and forward right window, cone control attack. Regular, lower forward right edit, attack forward right. Attack forward left. Attack center. Attack right. Attack left. And I'm done. So that is it for going over my control attacks. Hopefully that makes sense. The point of these strategies, the point of these behavioral practices is to allow me to be able to control the enemy regardless of how he approaches me before I make the killing stroke. So this is basically the setup to the kill. Either you're going to be controlled by the enemy or you will control the enemy before the reckoning, I guess is one way to put it. Okay, now we're going to go over briefly a clip where Andrew Huberman goes over sunlight benefits as well as the behavioral protocol that you can use to leverage the benefits of sunlight. And then after that, I'll just briefly talk about how I approach it, even though my sleep schedule is chaotic, and it would be much better for me to be in proper relation to the sunrise and sunset. That isn't always going to be an option. And so what I have learned from Andrew Huberman that is useful is even when my schedule is chaotic, there are certain procedural anchors and like behavioral skills you can pick up that will help your body to provide an anchor for performance and for recovery. Like at the level of hormone, at the level of neurotransmitter, all of these things above my head. Your body, by viewing sunlight shortly after sunrise or shortly after waking, your body is provided an anchor at the level of biology for all of these complex systems. Anyways, I do a bad job of explaining it, so let's stop listening to me and we can listen to Andrew Huberman. We won't listen on 2, we'll listen on 1.5.
I wake up in the morning and I want to reach for my phone. But I know that even if I were to crank up the brightness on that phone screen, it's not bright enough to trigger that cortisol spike and for me to be at my most alert and focused throughout the day and to optimize my sleep at night. So what I do is I get out of bed and I go outside. And if it's a bright, clear day and the sun is low in the sky or the sun is starting to get overhead, what we call low solar angle, then I know I'm getting outside at the right time. If there's cloud cover and I can't see the sun, I also know I'm doing a good thing because it turns out, especially on cloudy days, you want to get outside and get as much light energy or photons in your eyes. But let's say it's a very clear day and I can see where the sun is. I do not need to stare directly into the sun. If it's very low in the sky, I might do that because it's not going to be very painful to my eyes. However, if the sun is a little bit brighter and a little bit higher in the sky, sometimes it can be painful to look at. So the way to get this sunlight viewing early in the day is to look toward the sun. If it's too bright to look at directly, well, then don't do that. You just look toward it, but not directly at it. It's absolutely fine to blink. In fact, I encourage you to blink whenever you feel the impulse to blink. Never look at any light, sunlight or otherwise, that's so bright that it's painful to look at because you can damage your eyes. But for this morning sunlight viewing, it's best to not wear sunglasses. That's right, to not wear sunglasses, at least for this morning sunlight viewing. It is absolutely fine to wear eyeglasses or contact lenses, so-called corrective lenses. In fact, those will serve you well in this practice or this tool because they will focus the light onto your neural retina and onto those melanopsin intrinsically photosensitive ganglion cells. If your eyeglasses or contact lenses have UV protection, that's okay. There's so many different wavelengths of light coming from the sun, and they are bright enough that they will trigger the mechanisms that you want triggered at this early time of day. So try and get outside, ideally within the first 5 minutes of waking, or maybe it's 15 minutes, but certainly within the first hour.
And I can say definitely off of my own personal experimentation with a chaotic schedule and with a disciplined schedule, because throughout my Fortnite career and gaming career, I've experimented with all sorts of different disciplined modes. And I can tell you, the best for my body was definitely when I got my light viewing behavior correct and when I got my sleep schedule to be relatively consistent. And very similar to what he's describing, even now, my wake-up protocol is sometimes I wake up, I have to use the restroom, and then immediately after using the restroom, I take my water bottle outside, and for 2 to 10 minutes, I just I passively take in sunlight and provide an anchor to all the unconscious embodied regulatory systems that allow me to frame my day and future upcoming night in a way that affords focus, contemplation, rest and relaxation, engagement, optimized attention. Anyways, now we'll continue listening to Huberman explain it.
after waking. I want to share with you 3 critical things about this tool of morning sunlight viewing. First of all, this is not some woo biology thing. This is grounded in the core of our physiology. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of quality peer-reviewed papers showing that light viewing early in the day is the most powerful stimulus for wakefulness throughout the day, and it has a powerful positive impact on your ability to fall and stay asleep at night. So this is really the foundational power tool for ensuring a great night's sleep and for feeling more awake during the day. Second of all, if you wake up before the sun is out, you can and probably should flip on artificial lights in your internal home environment or apartment or wherever you happen to live if your goal is to be awake. Right? If you wake up at 4 in the morning and you need to be awake, well, then turn on artificial lights. Once the sun is out, however, once the sun has risen, then you still want to get outside and view sunlight. Some of you will wake up before the sun comes out, and if you're asking whether or not turning on artificial lights can replace sunlight at those hours, unfortunately, the answer is no. Unless you have a very special light, we'll talk about what kind of light, the bright artificial lights in your home environment are not, I repeat, are not going to be sufficiently bright to turn on the cortisol mechanism and the other wake-up mechanisms that you need early in the day. The diabolical twist, however, is that those lights in your home or apartment or even on your phone are bright enough to disrupt your sleep if you look at them too late at night or in the middle of the night. So there's this asymmetry in our retinal, our eye biology, and in our brain's biology, whereby early in the day, right around waking, you need a lot of light, a lot of photons, a lot of light energy, and artificial lights generally just won't accomplish what you need them to accomplish.
That asymmetry, that's a huge point that I wish I learned sooner. But even now, when I'm on kind of a more chaotic sleep schedule, drinking coffee at, 9:30? It's pretty wild. I today have spent my morning outside getting that natural light, as well as movement with resistance, as well as proper hydration. And I feel very energized, and I'm going to be able to approach the rest of my night in a way that I think is good, true, and beautiful, even though it is a bit chaotic and different than what I was doing yesterday and different from the day before. I think that by understanding light viewing behavior and how it affects your biology, regardless of the situation you're in, you'll be able to navigate more comfortably.
But at night, even a little bit of artificial light can really mess up your so-called circadian, your 24-hour clocks, and all these mechanisms that we're talking about. So if you wake up before the sun is out and it's still dark, please turn on as many bright artificial lights as you possibly can or need, but then get outside once the sun is out. On cloudy days, you especially need to get outside. I repeat, on cloudy days, overcast days, you especially need to get outside and get sunlight. You just need to get more of it. Now, how much light and how much light viewing do you need? This is going to vary depending on person and place, literally where you live on Earth, whether or not there's a lot of tree cover, whether or not you're somebody who has sensitive eyes or less sensitive eyes. It's really impossible for me to give an absolute prescriptive, but we can give some general guidelines. In general, on a clear day, meaning no cloud cover or minimal cloud cover, you want to get this sunlight exposure to your eyes for about 5 minutes or so. Could be 3 minutes one day, could be 7 minutes the next day, about 5 minutes. On a day where there's cloud cover, so the sun is just peeking through the clouds or it's more dense cloud cover, you want to get about 10 minutes of sunlight exposure to your eyes early in the day. And on days that are really densely overcast or maybe even a rainy, you're going to want to get as much as 20 or 30 minutes of sunlight exposure. Another key thing is do not forget about, just don't try and get this sunlight exposure through a windshield of a car or a window, whether or not it's tinted or otherwise. It takes far too long. It's simply not going to trigger the relevant mechanisms. You would be standing there all day trying to get enough light into your eyes from the morning sunlight, and by then the sun will have already moved from low solar angle to overhead, and it simply won't work for all sorts of mechanisms related to your circadian rhythm functions. So just don't try and do it through a windshield, sunglasses, or a window. It's just not going to work. Get outside. If the weather is really bad or for whatever reason, safety reasons, you cannot get outside, well then I suppose try and get near a window. That would be the last resort. But you really want to get outside to get the sunlight exposure.
All right. And I think this concludes today's review. All my prepared statements and concepts to explore. In the comments of this video, I'll have the links to all of the videos if you want to reflect on your own, at your own timing. Andrew Huberman, I respect a lot intellectually, and I think he's helped me to structure my practice in a beneficial way. And so, yeah. Anyways, that's about all.